stream entry is one of the most fascinating and hopeful milestones along the Buddhist path. It's described in the early texts as the first real milestone along that path to enlightenment. But what does that really mean? And is stream entry the sort of thing that's actually open and available to us as lay practitioners? In this video, we'll explore what stream entry traditionally means, as well as how its ideal may have developed over time, and then we'll look to the ways that the idea of stream entry may be useful to us in our practice today. So first, what is the traditional understanding of stream entry? Traditionally, stream entry is understood as overcoming three of the lower fetters, in particular what are known as identity view, doubt in the Buddhist path, and clinging to rites and rituals. Now, what do these mean? Identity view is this idea, this concept, this view that we may have that what we are is a permanent, essential self that is unchanging over time, a kind of a unitary soul. The idea of clinging to rites and rituals is an idea that by only following perfectly a certain kind of ritual or rite or maintaining a certain kind of ethical purity, that alone is sufficient to reach enlightenment. Overcoming each of these fetters involves a kind of a deep transformative insight of our understanding of reality. They involve a kind of a cognitive reframing of our picture of the world. Also, traditionally, stream entry is considered irreversible. That is, somebody who enters the stream, somebody who is a stream enterer, is traditionally understood to be guaranteed to reach enlightenment within 7 lifetimes. We can also look at the idea of stream entry from a more psychological point of view as involving, again, a kind of a restructuring of our understanding of the world, a deep transformation in our understanding of who we are, of the self, as well as an understanding and acceptance of the path and the way of practice, a kind of a confidence, a deep confidence and understanding in that path. Second, I want to talk a little bit about the historical development of this idea of stream entry. Scholar Joy Manné wrote a paper a while back describing how she believes that this ideal began as more of an open concept of a convert to Buddhism. That is to say, a stream enterer originally may have meant something more like someone with a deep confidence in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, as well as a practice of generosity and ethical living, that was sufficient to be a stream enterer. For example, in one early text we read of 2 chamberlains, Isidatta and Purana, who go to the Buddha, and the Buddha tells them, "A noble disciple who has 4 things is a stream enterer." What 4? It's when a noble disciple has confirmed confidence in the Buddha, in the Dharma, in the Sangha, and dwells at home with a mind devoid of the stain of stinginess, freely generous, open-handed, delighted in relinquishment, one devoted to charity, delighting in giving and sharing. So here we read that being a stream enterer consists in 4 things, essentially confidence in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, as well as an open-handed generosity. And all of these would have been hallmarks of the lay Buddhist convert, the sort of person who would have supported the Buddhist Sangha financially. And again, here, stream entry is more about belief and practice than it is about any kind of insight, in particular any kind of meditative insight. A couple of other early texts discuss the same kinds of issues, but they substitute ethical living for generosity. That is to say that they say that the stream enterer is one who has deep confidence in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, as well as keeping the 5 precepts, that is, behaving ethically. It then goes on to say, these other texts go on to say, that a person like this is able to achieve samadhi, or concentration. Now, what exactly this means is a question. On the one hand, it may simply mean that they are able to achieve a kind of a unity or clarity of mind, or on the other hand, it may mean that they're able to achieve deeper states of meditative absorption, such as the jhanas. However, even in those cases, whatever attainments they're able to make are not well described. It's not described exactly what kind of samadhi this is, and certainly not described that they're able to achieve any kind of meditative insights through this samadhi. The simple achievement of samadhi is enough. Manné's research suggests that over time, the concept of stream entry may have become more associated with the achievement of deep meditative insights. In particular, a kind of a fleeting glimpse of nirvana itself, a glimpse that is strong enough that it itself is able to evaporate the doubts that we may retain about the efficacy of the path. However, this only occurred over time as ideas of meditative attainments became more systematized.
So in a nutshell, just to go through the traditional interpretation versus Manné's, on the left side we have the traditional view that stream entry overcomes the three fetters of identity view, doubt about the path, clinging to rites and rituals, that it requires a certain amount of meditative insight, that it marks irreversible progress, and guarantees awakening within 7 lifetimes. Manné's interpretation, rather, is based on a historical understanding of the texts, that originally stream entry meant basically a convert to Buddhism, that its most important features early on were faith in the Buddha, or that is faith or confidence in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, ethical living, that is to say, following the 5 precepts, generosity, focus on, that is to say, belief and practice, these kinds of daily practices, but that there were no necessary links to particular meditative attainments, and that it marked basically an initial commitment to the path.
Third, I want to discuss some of the practical relevance of all this material to our notion of stream entry today and our practice today. The texts that we've been discussing make it eminently clear that stream entry is open to all of us, including, very much including, lay practitioners leading worldly lives. Indeed, the Buddha himself, or the early texts, record many, many such lay people who were stream enterers. Achieving this stage along the path does not require complete renunciation. It does not require a monastic lifestyle. Having confirmed confidence in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, as well as living generous or ethical lives, something that's open to all of us. And even if we consider the case from the point of view of the 3 lower fetters, there are still ways that we can work on this from a lay perspective, from an everyday perspective. During meditation or simply during the day, we can reflect upon the ways that we ourselves have changed over time. Not only our bodies, but our minds, our views, our beliefs, our preferences, our likes and dislikes. All of these things have changed over time and are not permanent. Similarly, we can reflect upon our interconnectedness with the world around us. Once again, not only our bodily interconnection through the various substances that we take in and excrete, but also our mental interactions, how the way we are depends upon our causes and conditions. Reflecting in this way can help us break down ideas of a separate, permanent, unchanging self that somehow sits outside of causes and conditions. We can work with doubt. That is to say, we can cultivate a confidence in the path by reflecting upon the small victories we've had, the small advances we find in our lives with the practice that we have already undertaken. When it comes to clinging to rites and rituals, we can reflect again upon practice as a practice of letting go in general, a practice of deep insight, rather than one of maintaining adherence to certain rigid doctrines or rituals or dogmas. Fourth, I think it's really important to touch on one key pitfall when it comes to stream entry. That is what Buddhist teacher Chogyam Trungpa called spiritual materialism. That's this idea that it's natural for us to become attached to spiritual attainments. We should strive to avoid spiritual materialism, which involves giving up ideals such as stream entry itself as material kinds of things that we can attain. Because this kind of attitude, this mindset, this spiritually materialist mindset, can lead to egoism and conceit. This comparing mind that says that we are better than others or that we are worse than others. Comparing ourselves and what we suppose are our attainments or their attainments, trying to figure out who's better and who's worse. This idea that, for example, that, I'm a stream enterer and this other person isn't because I have such and so XYZ and they don't. They've misdescribed their attainments, or I correctly understand mine, or whatever it might be in your case. These are serious pitfalls. These are ways that our striving for stream entry itself can become a trap, can lead us down a dark road. The whole advantage, usefulness of concepts such as stream entry is to help us be more compassionate and open to others and to our own practice. Insofar as our striving for stream entry does not lead in that direction, it's really of no use to us and in fact may be detrimental. We do not want the ideal of stream entry to become a kind of an egoistic delusion of grandeur. Fifth, in conclusion, what does the idea of stream entry teach us? Stream entry involves, as I say, a deep transformation along the path. Whether we see stream entry as involving deep insights into reality, or whether we see it simply as an aspect of our confidence and our generosity and ethical living, either way of seeing it, that first stage along the path is one that can bring real advances and advantages and benefits to us. Wherever you actually are in your practice, these qualities associated with stream entry, such as wisdom, such as confidence, such as compassion, kindness towards others, ethical living, such as meditative insight or samadhi, that is concentration, all of these are beneficial states to achieve, no matter what stream entry itself might mean. So the practice of enlightenment itself begins here and now with practices that help to achieve just these ends, practices that help benefit others, practices that help us increase our generosity, increase our kindness, compassion, that help us deepen our samadhi. All of these kinds of practices are ones that can help us achieve stream entry, or in any advance along the path can be helpful. So what's been helpful to you? Have you found practices in your own life that help, let's say, undo some of these lower fetters that I've mentioned? And if you would like to discuss them, please leave them down in the comments below. I think we'd all love to hear about it. If you'd like to read more, or hear more, I should say, about these lower fetters, which I've described in a little bit of detail here, I have another video that describes them a bit more. And I'll leave a link to that video up here on the screen if you'd like to watch it. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you're getting something out of this, consider taking a look at my Patreon page, which is linked up here on the screen or down below in the notes, and see if you want to help support the channel and the work that I'm doing here. Thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next video. And meanwhile, all of you, be well.